Breaking news from Canon. If you use a Canon EOS R5 or R6 to its maximum capacity, it will catch on fire. Yeah, so welcome back to the vlog, guys. Thank you once again for joining me for tea time. Today we have some misty morning and a little bit of focus. I put a little focus in there for that bergamot. I love bergamot. Anyways, guys, this is good stuff. You asked me for this. I made them for you. You can head over to darkmoonteas.com, or over to JCristina.com and pick these up. Really good stuff. Anyways, guys, today we're going to be talking about the EOS R5 and the R6 catching on fire. All right. I've been hearing on YouTube, mainly from the, let's call them fanboys to the other lines, not Canon, talking about how awful the Canon EOS R5 and the R6 are going to be because of all the overheating, and they're talking about Peter's statements about it overheating and all of this stuff, and I'm like, God. And I'm thinking back, and I said, you know, I want to do a video about this, talk to you guys about it a little bit. Do you remember from months ago when we've had these discussions here, I've said heat is the bane of every mirrorless camera? We've talked about this. As you push these mirrorless cameras, especially the full frames, to their limits, capturing the entire frame, capturing high bit rates, yada, 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 it's going to heat up, period. And if you don't put a fan in it, you're going to have problems. That's one of the reasons why I use the Canon C100 and the C300. C500s. Why? Because they have big fans in them. I can run with them all day long recording video. I don't have to worry about it. But anyways, guys, I want to get into it a little bit. I want to look at what Canon has to say here, and then I want to talk to you a little bit about it, what I think here. Okay, so Canon says this. They say the EOS R5, one of the latest additions to Canon's full-frame mirrorless camera line, offers class-leading autofocus with high resolution and high frame rate video recording options using the maximum width of the full-frame sensor at high bit rates. Right? Makes sense, right? This is going to cause heat. They say inevitably, this combination of features has the potential to generate some significant heat, which will limit recording time. No, okay? You would think anyone with half a sense would just, on its face, just know this, right? It just makes sense. Okay? But there seems that people don't get it. They don't get it. So we're going to get into it a little bit more. Anyways, they also state that magnesium alloy was used in the body to dissipate heat away from the internal components. Yes, magnesium alloy, they've been using it in all of their higher end bodies forever, and same with other manufacturers. So this is kind of just like a whatever statement. Yes, they all use magnesium alloy bodies unless you got a cheap camera, and then it's pretty much plastic. Next, they also say an overheat control, in quotes, functions to reduce heat generated when the camera is in standby. So they're putting in some type of things so that heat is dissipated when it's in standby, when you're using it, calculations, we're going to get into that. Anyways, they said in regards, now this is where this whole fan thing comes in. In regard to the installation of a fan, the decision not to install a fan within the body was made in order to maintain the EOS R5's compact size, lightweight construction, and weather resistance. I swear to God, this sounds like word for word what I said literally a month ago or longer. Literally word for word. It also says, before recording starts, the EOS R5 and the R6 display an estimate of the recordable time based on the current camera temperature and the set recording mode. So, basically the cameras, both the R5 and the R6, have an algorithm in it and say, if the camera is at this temperature and we're going to record at this mode, at this speed, at this P rate, at this bit rate, at this, we're going to give you X amount of minutes of recording. Why did they do that? Well, probably in the lab, when they recorded, let's say 8K, 30 frames per second, max size, everything, highest bit rate, internal, it would probably blow up, self-destruct, go into SuperNova and cause a black hole every time they recorded past 25 minutes. So they reduced it to 20. I'll get into that in just a minute. This is not rocket science here, guys. It's not rocket science, but I want to bring this to your attention so when you're watching these other videos from these content creators that are coming up with this crazy ass you'll have a more moderate understanding. And then you can be the judge of what you think. So let me get back to what I was talking to you about, the C100, 300, 500. Why do I use these for my professional video capture work? For events, for whatever, okay? How I do it. I set up a center camera, that's my main, all right? And then 2 additional C100s or 300s, stage left, stage right. All 3 of them are recording, and they continuously record. And what I will do is I will change out cards according to how much time limit is left, all right? So that in any given time, there's 2 vantage points recording. Actually, let's say 3. Because I have the main, I have stage left, stage right, and I have a mobile, someone that's going around capturing the detailed work, all right? So while a card is being changed in post-production, that camera is off, and I will use a different camera while that is, let's say the card's being changed. Very simple. That's just how I work. I've been doing it for a decade. I've been doing it forever. That's just how I record. Now, why do I use these? Because they have a massive fan in them. That means I could record 1080p, 4K, whatever, ad nauseum, all day long. It could be a 4-hour event, it could be a 6-hour event, it doesn't matter. I can record forever. And I don't have to worry about these cameras overheating. That's just it. Very simple. So if you need a professional quality camera that does it, you have to get the best gear for the job that you're doing. And that's why I say, I don't really care what I shoot. I shoot Hasselblads for some of my magazine work. Why? Because I want a medium format. Well, now I'm starting to pick up some Fuji, but that's none here nor there. Anyways, I usually pick up Hasselblad because I need all those extra pixels. I'm not going to get into it, but that's what I do. Anyways, what Canon has said here is they've taken that baseline and they said, our baseline is going to be 73 degrees. And at 73 degrees, we're going to give you X amount of recording time. And when you turn on the camera and you put it into that mode and at that bit rate and everything, it's going to tell you how much you have. And now what they've done is they've given us this chart. Let's go through it. I put a few highlights here on things that I find to be important. Bear in mind, it looks like crap, but hopefully you can see it. If not, I'm just going to read it for you. I'm going to give you some of the highlights of going through all of it. So starting out with the EOS R5, if the ambient temperature is 73 degrees, you see that at 8K 30p, you're going to be able to get 20 minutes of record time. If with that same camera you decide to shoot at 4K at slow-mo, right, 120 frames per second, you're going to get 15 minutes of record time. Makes sense, right, guys? You're recording a hell of a lot more data. Okay? That's it. Now, if you come down, and this is where a lot of people are going to like this, if you come down to 4K 30p, you basically have no time limit unless you go full sensor with high quality 8.2 oversampling. Then you have 30 minutes of record time. But if not, there's no limit. There's no limit by heat, let's say. You'll be able to record forever. It's not the case, obviously. There's limitations, but you'll be able to record without having to worry about it overheating. And the same thing holds true with crop mode. So if you're cropped, if you're doing an APS-C crop, which is a 5.1 oversample at that 4K 30 frames, you can also get unlimited record. Let's just call it, and it will not overheat. So moving into the EOS R6, if you record at 4K 60p, you're going to get 30 minutes of record time before it gets hot, starts overheating. If you record 4K at 30p, you're going to get 40 minutes. All right, very simple. Like I said, this is not rocket science, guys. This is not rocket science, and it just simply makes sense. All right, just like Canon said at the beginning, we did not put a fan in here. Okay, and since we didn't put a fan in here, you're going to have to worry about overheating if you push it to its limit. That's just simply it. And I guarantee you guys, in the last video of mine or a video before that, I talked about Sony and how they held back in releasing their Sony A7S2 successor. Let's call it the A7S3, or what I called it was like an A9 II, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, they hit the pause button and said, you know what, we're going to release it a little bit later. Let's see if Canon wets the bed. Now, they're looking at this and saying, hey, we're seeing that there's overheating going on. We see that in the lab, we're getting overheating too. Are we going to, and this is going to be the question, and I asked the same question in the last video, will Sony, or are they, in their words, are we going to put a 8K capable sensor into this, or are we going to put a 4K capable sensor into this? If we put an 8K sensor in it, are we going to crop it? Okay, so we don't end up with this overheating issue. How are they going to play it? That's going to be the question. If they put a large sensor in it to be able to equal Canon with 8K, well, they're going to be overheating. That's it. It's just simply it. Sony's not putting a fan into it. That's all. All right? And in my personal opinion, like I said in a previous video, if Sony doesn't get 8K out of their, let's call it video flagship, because the A7S line has always been an amazing, and it still is to this day, video camera. Okay? Video camera. It does amazing in low light, 12 megapixels or whatever. But still, it does amazing in low light. So are they going to do 20 or 24 megapixels and keep it with 4K and maybe have 4K at 240 frames per second or something to really push the envelope? Or are they going to put the bigger sensor in it? Like I said, I really do believe they have to put a bigger sensor in it to match Canon. I could be wrong, but that's my personal opinion. We'll see what ends up happening with it. So now Canon also issued some ideas on how to reduce the heat. They said, set the overheat control function to on. It's set to on default, but don't turn it off. All right, leave it on. It says when the overheat control function is enabled, the movie size and frame rate are automatically changed while the camera is in standby mode to suppress the rise of the internal temperature. They also say that between recordings, it is also recommended to turn off the camera and position the camera out of direct sunlight. Well, no shit. And they say that you can use an external fan if you want to blow on it. Yeah, I mean, you could get a block of ice and get a fan and blow on the damn thing if you need to. All right? But see, what is going to happen is you're going to have a lot of these people that are just not too bright, all right? Not the sharpest tools in the shed. And they're going to go out to a wedding and they're going to set their gear up. They're outside. It's Florida, 96 degrees, and they're going to start recording. They're going to want to know why they get 8 minutes of recording time until the thing implodes. Well, it just said 73 is that temperature. So 73 is their baseline. If it's literally an ambient temperature of 96 degrees, you're not going to get as much record time out of it. All right? This is the kind of stuff that I'm telling you, this is what we're going to see. All right? We're already seeing some of it. People are like just losing it. All right? They're just losing it and they're just poo-pooing all over Canon's R5 and R6 because it is currently the best on the market. We're still waiting on Sony. But that's what people do. When you're a fanboy, all right, you just have to always elevate your gear and justify why you own it. Unlike me, that I don't really give a crap what I'm using, right? So I don't really care. I'm not a fanboy for any company. If Canon's camera ends up really melting, I will be the first to tell you guys about it. Also, if Sony ends up coming out with literally a 12 megapixel, S3, I'm going to crap on them too because it'd be nonsense. It'd be horrible. Okay? So I kind of call it as I see it and I shoot whatever I need. That's it. I'll shoot a C series if I need it for video. I'll shoot the 5Ds if I need it for just some event work. I will shoot Hasselblad if I'm doing magazine stuff or anything that I need a ton of pixels. I'll shoot medium format. There's a reason for everything. Buy the gear that you need for the job that you're doing. But I'm telling you, people are going to do this, mark my words, with weddings and all of this stuff with this gear. And they're going to be just like, I don't know why, it melted, it blew up, Well, they told you not to do that, all right? So what they also said is they've figured out, let's say based on some type of algorithm that was given to us by alien beings that landed, what the dissipation rate would be for the specific camera, the R5 or the R6, based on that magnesium alloy body and the speed in which it's recording, or the record mode, and the ambient temperature, and all right? And they came out with this algorithm, and this is what they state. At that ambient temperature of 73 degrees, if you're shooting 8K at 30 frames per second and it overheats, let's say, or it's getting hot, if you set it aside for 10 minutes, when you turn it back on after 10 minutes, you're going to get 3 more minutes of record time, because they understand the algorithm, that curve, that bell curve, on how fast the camera will dissipate heat. Now, if you are shooting at 8K 30 frames per second and you let it sit to the side for 20 minutes, you'll be able to get 8 more minutes worth of record time. So we know 20 minutes equals 8 minutes. And finally, if you're recording at 4K at 60p, it's a 1-to-1. If you let it sit to the side for 10 minutes, you get to record for 10 more minutes. And remember, if you're recording at 4K 60p, all right, you're going to get 35 minutes of record time anyways. So in most cases, that's probably going to be enough. Now, my question to you guys is, where do you fall in with all of this stuff? Are you listening to all the YouTubers out there telling you that literally the EOS R5 and the R6 are going to go supernova, cause a black hole in the universe, and we're all going to die? Or are you looking at it like I do, with a little bit more of a middle ground, a little bit of sense, a little bit of common sense? Okay, once again, we've talked about this in the past, and we will continue to talk about it in the future, all right? Heat is the bane of all mirrorless cameras. As those processing units do more work, they will heat up. The only way to dissipate that heat is to put a fan in it. You need to have an inlet and you need to have an exhaust. Induction of outside ambient temperature and an exhaust of that heated air. And the only way to do that is you have to enlarge the camera, okay? It's going to be heavier, and you're going to lose some of that weather seal. Okay, if you're sucking in air, you could be sucking in water. That's it. Simple as that. And that's why I promise you guys, Sony will not be putting a fan into their camera. If they do, I will literally eat my hat. I don't know how they will do it. It just wouldn't make sense. To be able to keep it as 2 cigarette boxes in size, as their cameras are, there's no way to do it. Okay, there's absolutely no way, unless they want to make it a quarter size bigger, all right? So we will see what ends up happening with Sony. I am eager to see what they do with that successor to their A7, S2, whatever they call it, S3, A9 II, whatever. I really want to see what happens with that, because that will be a direct competitor. And that's, like I said, is why Sony has waited. That's why they waited, because they want to see what happens with Canon here. And as we can see, heat is an issue. And if you didn't think that it was going to be an issue, you're living under a rock. I don't know. Okay? That's just simply it. In its face, that is it. Now, before I get going, I want to say that if you haven't picked up my Aurora camera sensor cleaning kits, check them out. This is APS-C. They come full frame as well as micro 4/3. We know mirrorless cameras now are notorious for getting dirty. Those sensors act like magnets, and they will suck in every little bit of dust and debris that's around. That's just how it is, all right? They get even more dirty than DSLRs. That's just the nature of the beast. So instead of having little spots all over your pictures that you have to take out in post-production, clean those sensors. These things are extremely safe. They look like this. They come with a dry and a wet. You use the wet first. Let me grab one. You use that wet and you go over the sensor, and then you pick up a dry, which is in the other one, and you take off any type of residue, and now you have a perfectly clean sensor. Very simple. Very easy. It takes 5 minutes, and it doesn't cost you $100 to send your camera in. No downtime. So pick that up. You can pick this up over at my website, JCristina.com. Use promo code YT20 at checkout, or you can go over to Amazon if you like, or maybe even B&H Photo. We love the guys at B&H Photo. They have these also over there, either which way. Anyways, let's have this discussion. In the comment area below this video, let's talk about it. I want to hear what you think. What do you think Sony is going to do? What do you think about this EOS R5 and R6? Do you think that is an issue? Do you think it's a non-issue? Do you think Canon has done enough? Do you think they haven't done enough? What do you think about the whole fan thing I was talking about? Yada, yada, yada. I want to hear about it. And then after we are done talking about it in YouTube, head over to my Discord channel over at community.jcristina.com. It's a creative Discord channel that I made for you and me. We can just hang out and chat. Once again, community.jcristina.com. It is free. Once again, pick up that ebook, jcristina.com/ebook. 10 tips at making sharper images. 10 tips at making sharper images, something for amateurs and professionals. jcristina.com/ebook. That's it, guys. If you enjoyed this content, please throw me a big thumbs up. That helps me, helps the channel, helps YouTube try to figure out what's good and what's not good on the internet. Anyways, don't forget also to smash that subscribe button so you can get all my content when it becomes available, and click the bell icon right over here so when it is available, you will be notified of it. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools that I've invented for you and me over the years, and hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That's it. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe and stay healthy.